when I worked at my other companies, and I won't name them, but you can easily find that on like LinkedIn or
Halliburton,
whatever.
Bain Capital. Just kidding.
McKinsey, Aramco. So that one might go over people's heads, but
As
Saudi
probably
oil.
have a sweet, I was gonna say sweet pension plan.
Yeah.
Like the most rich company in the world. Country and company.
You just
And family.
I love that there's no headphones. I don't mind them, but it's nice to like not have that
man.
aspect of it.
So many things in podcasting, it feels like you're just like imitating other podcasts. It's kind of tough.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but you have to find your own path in life.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, we can start. Arpit,
All right.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, happy to be back.
I'm psyched. We're actually, getting together post
Yes.
Omicron wave.
Oh,
Little
man.
lull in the Neverending Becoming over the winter.
You gotta take a break, winter break.
It
That's
is
what
good
we'll call
for
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get spoiled from school over the years. Like, yeah, you don't get those kind of breaks when you're older. You just had some paternity time off.
Yes. Just took a week off. I encourage every dad listening to this to take their paternity time and spend it with your family.
Yeah, please do, everyone. Come on. Think about your responsibilities at home. Let's go.
Yeah, that work will be there.
Stop watching world-class YouTube and podcast-related content.
You could still do that. You can still do that. You can carve out a couple hours.
No, but congratulations, you become a father.
Thank you. Yeah, last time was like a week before I had my baby, or my wife had the babies.
Credit where credit's due.
Yes, yeah, I didn't do much hard work at all.
Still though, man, I'm so excited for you. It really hits home.
Yeah.
You're like my first peer, like true peer that I, was very close with for a long time that has become a father. So
I know it's wild. Still wild to me.
started calling me Uncle James. That obviously gets to the heart a little bit. That's like a whole thing.
Uncle Jay, Uncle James, whatever you want to go by, we can make it work.
Once I get my doctorate.
Yeah, Doctor
Uncle James.
Ooh,
But in time with that, I do want to hit fatherhood stuff.
Sure,
And
let's
probably
do it.
I'll just like hit you the whole episode. I want to
Let's
what's
go.
this like? What's that like?
happy to share. I don't know much, but I'm happy to share what I do know. So
Do you feel like you're there? Do you have all the essential skills with like diaper changing and?
no, yesterday she peed on my lap. I put a diaper on, I tried something a little different, and then I felt a wet spot like in my crotch as I was trying to like hold her, and immediately thought like, oh, did I just pee myself? Like, am I that old now where I can't control my bladder? Luckily it was her, but still like.
So I assume you didn't use enough duct tape around the seams. I mean, this is from my construction perspective.
Dude, you gotta get the tape to overlap. You put it a little bit, she'll squirm her way out. She's like somehow peed up her back through her shirt onto my crotch. So
That's so great. Have you started doing like baby Mozart stuff, or like have you had time to do that sort of thing where you're like running times tables and going through the alphabet?
I'll count on her fingers. And it's funny you mentioned that.
That's
We
cute.
we don't know any lullaby songs. I don't know if you could name like besides like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So we've sang her In the End by Linkin Park, Under the Bridge. Basically any song that was in Rock Band or Guitar Hero from like 10 years ago.
Yeah, man.
She doesn't know the difference, but it's really funny to, sing about Anthony Kiedis and his experience being homeless in Los Angeles to a 10-week baby or a 15-week baby. So that part's been wild. Like you just don't realize like, oh, I don't know any of this stuff. So
I'm happy that you're passing on the Chili Peppers, especially they're about to come out with a new album.
the hits, you gotta play the hits.
And even when we were in 8th grade, Arpit and I have been friends for a super long time. You got me a copy of Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Yes. And then our friend drew you an album cover of it too. Jessica drew it for you.
Later on, my 16th
Yeah.
birthday. Shout out Jessica. Was
Gotta shout
blessed
her
with
out.
her artistic greatness.
It might be the second time I've mentioned that about Jessica too.
You got to keep paying homage to Jessica. If you don't talk about Jessica, you don't know what you're doing.
What's the point?
Speaking of, this is very pertinent. Jessica is creating content for the channel.
What?
She's helping make like a Neverending logo type thing. I'm gonna
Get
use. I
out
swear,
of here.
man. I
That
swear.
sounds awesome.
So relevant.
Dude,
Highly relevant.
You're changing from the Meta logo?
I'm switching off them. I got a cease and desist by Mark Zuckerberg, so I figure better, not test my lawyers this early on in the channel's success.
We are not Meta mates in this.
No, actually, it's about not being so closed-minded about the things that I work on or want to do versus what other people can do. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of felt obligated early on in the pod to make a theme song for every episode or make a new piece of artwork myself, hand-drawn for every episode. Obviously, edit it myself, be in it myself. Like, it's not necessary, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's better things that can come in the world when you connect with other people, when you collaborate with other
Yeah.
people. And it's sort of in that vein.
I'm going to tie it back to fatherhood again.
Please.
because you mentioned like flexibility and adaptability. And those are two things I did not realize like how much you need that when you become a father. You're going on someone else's schedule and you just got to adapt. Like, you know, there's no like plan. My wife and I argued before we had the baby, like, here's the plan. This is how we're going to do things. We haven't done a single thing the way that we thought we were going to, including the birth. So,
right.
So it's cool that like, I think that aspect hits every part of your life. Like being able to be flexible is always like just a skill I think everybody really needs to have some ability in.
Absolutely. Can you share more about like how things have not gone as expected or ways you specifically been flexible? Or
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the birth. She arrived 5.5 weeks early. We went for a doctor's appointment and they just kind of told us, hey, you're having the baby. So we were not ready. I had not even taken both of us took a half day off work. So we were expected to be back at like 1:00. But we had the baby like 18 hours later. So that didn't go to plan. And so then from there on out, it was just trying to figure it out. You know, we talked about who's going to feed the baby at night, but when she gets up, she gets up. Like there's no rhyme or reason, and just things we said we would do, but are hard to do. And then things that we'd never thought we would do that we're doing.
Yeah. It makes sense that your baby came a little early. You've always been precocious. Sam's always been precocious. Makes sense that your lineage would be the same, right? Like,
definitely my wife's baby showing up way too early for something.
All the finer things in life. No, why wait?
Yes.
You know, why wait? You said you've been taking like the midnight shift, right? Or the 3 a.m. shift?
Yeah, I take the night shift. So since the baby has been born, I've been up at some point every hour of the nighttime. So I've seen 1 a.m., I've seen 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Kind of humbling in some ways, but it's cool too.
You mean how bad the Reddit front page is at 5 a.m.?
Oh my God. Doing a Wordle at 2 a.m. has been my thing now. So just doing the Wordle. Yeah, Reddit's, nothing's going on. You know, the world is sleeping at 2 a.m.
Right.
But it's been just wild to wake up that early, feed, and then just being like, all right, well, I'm up now. Like, what do I do? You know, especially like the 4 or 5 a.m. Because what's the point of going back to sleep if you're getting up an hour? So then you're watching TV, and it's just, 4 hours of the news, basically.
Specifically YouTube TV.
Yes.
I believe you're a YouTube TV subscriber. In case YouTube want to throw some shekels our way.
I mean, just put the ad right down there.
Just toss it down there. No, but I'm really proud of you. You've really rolled with the punches.
Thanks,
and,
man.
Obviously you're such a positive and thoughtful person, and it's, you haven't changed a single bit, with fatherhood. It just can stress people out. Some people can just trip up from the lack of sleep, right? And the fact that, like you said, you're not in control of your own schedule anymore, especially, I'd say millennials, people that have gotten used to kind of calling a lot of shots. Mm-hmm. So...
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate all that. There are definitely moments that it's incredibly hard, and you're just like, I would love to just go rent a hotel room and sleep for 10 hours. Like, that happens for sure. But the good days are better than the bad days. And having love and support is always like, everyone needs a village to raise a child. So
absolutely.
Got to make sure you got people there that can help you when you need it.
Do you want to share your baby's name or no? Can we use it? I haven't dropped it so far.
Well,
we don't have to.
How about Baby P?
Baby P, okay.
Yeah.
Couldn't Baby P come on the next episode? Talk about this village of yours. Can we have your baby like...
I don't know if she'll sit there for an hour, but I don't think she's camera shy, so...
Okay. Yeah, we could always, like, if it feels like a lot to put your newborn child on a 4K video podcast, we could throw one of those Kanye West masks on her. Like one of those, like, bejeweled, like, type pseudo-intellectual artistic masks.
It's actually a funny point to bring up, not to get serious, but, like, what people are willing to share and not share. Like, that's an actual conversation you have to have nowadays.
It is,
like,
man.
What are we willing to share on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp? Like, what photos are we okay being out there? Because an online presence didn't exist when you and I were kids. So, like, our parents have, like, pictures, but they were in control of it. Now you don't know where it ends up. Like,
yeah, back in the day, worst case scenario, someone would see a Polaroid of you on the fridge.
Yeah.
Right? That was as close as you got.
Seriously, maybe like a birth announcement or something. But now it's like, when she's older, is she going to care, like, that she had an online presence since she was a baby, or like what does she want to curate, and what does she want to make her online persona? It's a weird thing to think about.
It is. And they always talk about different ways in which data is collected sort of under the surface too.
Yeah.
Like the ways in which a social network, say, knows about you based on what you're looking at, right? Mm-hmm. And I would imagine it's very different to have that data from like 18 years old on versus even from when someone is like 4 years old looking at an iPad, like seeing what someone's eye tracking is like
Yeah.
when they're kind of pre-thoughtfulness.
Yeah.
Like, before they've even like hit all of Piaget's stages and like got to different levels of development. Like it's got to be a huge insight.
Yeah. And I mean, for us, like our online presence started maybe when we were like in our teenage years, but she's going to be online from beginning of her, like her 1 month photos online. So you got 1 month till probably the day she dies, and hopefully 100 years, like she's going to have some online presence. So it's crazy to think that she'll have existed online for 100 years when it's all said and done, unless the counterculture comes in and internet's not cool anymore and
we go all steampunk
or
something. Like it ends up being a different kind of just regressive society.
Just something to think about. Like she runs for office, and they're pulling pictures of her Instagram when she was like 3 months old, 6 months old, like a year old. And
your last time on this podcast, it was before she was even born. Like, President P, we were saying that your father, before you were born, said he was nervous or something. It's like, what do you want me to say about this? I wasn't even there, like
going back to the last podcast, just even attack ads, like, would you vote for this baby? And it's just a picture of her scowling or whatever, like, something insane like that.
Right. Oh man, too much. Do you think you've changed? Like, can you sense ways, or like, do you feel like your partner, Sam, has changed? Like, for the better, for I don't say for the worse, but just for ways in which you're unsure of yet, whatever?
Oh, 100% definitely changed in different ways. I think one thing that's like been crazy is just it really makes you appreciate. And we had a premature baby, and it was a tough few weeks there. How much friends and family really matter. Like you really gotta be grateful and appreciative, like what's around. I think that's been not a huge change. I always felt pretty appreciative, but like really putting in the spot, like when you really need someone, like who's going to be there and who's not going to be there. And everyone we counted on was there for us, which is always just like, okay, we got to be grateful for what we got. Puts life in perspective a little bit too. Just in like, it starts putting, my dad brought up like, oh, I want to be there when she gets married. That's if she follows our path, it's like at least 30 years from now, if not longer. So
steampunk marriage, that could be, that's maybe 15, 18.
She'll probably do the opposite and get married at like 21, just because like that's not the in now. That, and then just watching things now, you're like, oh, that was someone's kid. Like I imagine characters were watching The Wire, like, oh, that was someone's baby. Like, how did they end up like where they ended up, and how did their parents raise them? And
you mentioned your dad and how he wants to be there for her life stages. Obviously, like intergenerational thinking, I think, is so important for success in a lot of different domains of life. Has it kind of unlocked ways in which you think about your parents?
Yeah, I appreciate them a lot more, and just what they had to do and how they made it work. Even like taking us on trips and vacations. I went to India when I was 2 years old. I can't imagine taking a 2-year-old on like an 18-hour flight, and it's probably longer when they took us because technology's gotten a lot better. Like holy cow, like the things that they had to do and work for. My dad didn't have paternity leave. That just didn't exist. So like going back to work the day after.
Yeah, your dad ran his own business, so he couldn't just like shovel his work on someone else. Or
just in general, like just more appreciative of how they raised us. But then also making sure like we're raising our daughter the way we want to, not the way they raised us. Like the values that are important to us, the way the values that were important to them raised us too.
Totally. Yeah. Have you gotten pressure either from either your parents, your or Sam's parents, like funny things that they want you to do, like, old school remedies?
Yeah, definitely gotten some old school remedies. The funniest one to me is still like I don't know if it's a generational thing. They're all worried that this baby is too cold all the time. So they want this baby in like 4 layers of clothing, blankets, like if she shows any skin, and yes, it is winter in Chicago, but we keep our condo at like 73 degrees. So like
I was wondering that, if it's just like I'm in winter, I'm cold, so this baby must be cold. Like that classic projection thing.
100%.
Right?
So between that and just it's funny to hear them think that they know what the baby wants. Nobody has any clue. So we'll hear comments like, oh, she wants to sit up. She likes this. And it's like, I don't think she knows.
Oh, she wants to put $10 on the Rams to win the Super Bowl. You know, like everyone just.
Yeah. I actually did want to get her like a set of blocks or whatever, or like spread, not spread, and then just have her knock a block over and try to like pick the team. So I'm gonna try that experiment this upcoming fall with the NFL and see how good of a gambler she could be.
Why not? I think I've seen a few Simpsons episodes about this, so that's as good as being.
If she's as good as Lisa
proven.
in that episode, I would love that.
You got to prove it in real life too. Oh man, that's great. That's great. It's good you've had some time off too. You haven't just like had to run right back to work. You said you have a couple weeks of paternity sort of spaced out in the future.
Yes.
So you'll get some springtime enjoyment.
Yeah.
A little
get
bit more
outside.
outdoors because you've been indoors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never disliked winter more than this winter because when you're house trapped with the baby, the only thing you want to do is take her outside. But when it's 10 degrees like it is today, it's you can't.
Even finals in college, like having to stay up all night. You think this is tougher or what?
Yes.
What does it? Yeah. I would say so. We were having some fun.
Oh yeah.
We were having lots of fun.
If I could go back, I mean, that's the other thing. You really start to appreciate your youth a little bit too, and just how great it was, like being in college and how much fun there was, and just really appreciating those days more, you know, after you've been through them, and having a child and like, oh, she's going to have those kind of adventures too, hopefully. You really just appreciate like, God, college was so much fun. So
youth and young manhood.
Yes.
To use the Kings of
What
Leon.
a combo. What a combo.
Well, I hope you like want to keep talking about this. We're gonna talk about P her entire life, on this podcast. Hopefully, like
if I talk about her too much, please stop me. So it's hard not to.
Impossible. No, I mean, I think we're suffering too much from like rooting things in our own perspective. It's really healthy to sort of spread out your humanity. I mentioned intergenerationally, but just with different people, with like your bigger community, it's huge. I felt like my life has changed in a way because you had a child.
Yeah.
I felt a greater sense of responsibility for the decisions I make. I haven't podcasted a lot, so I can't say necessarily the things I say, but just in my day-to-day living, like I want to live at a higher level. Yeah. Because there's serious stakes. I mean.
Oh man, yeah. It just changes your perspective. And even with you, the video keeper, putting these podcasts, like God forbid something happened to me, these are records of me that she'll be able to see, these live videos of me talking for an hour. Like I don't have that in my like iPhone collection. Like I don't record myself talking for an hour or whatever. So it's like, it's really interesting to think about that. Like going on these podcasts, she's going to have 4 episodes worth of like, this is what my dad was like, God forbid if anything happened, but still like just, it puts a lot of responsibility on you too, to some extent, like to be like, here's all this stuff.
That's why I got the second camera angle on you. So, to get that slightly 3D effect, if I had to render your face or body, God
make
forbid.
A hologram.
Right. And then like, I mean, I think that stuff is actually like very close. Like there's already all this stuff online with Joe Rogan. Like he said so many words over the course of his podcast. You can like write any sentence by just like taking the syllables and like little bits, phenomes, whatever.
Those deep fake videos.
Yeah. The deep fake elements too. It's gotten really crazy. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, in terms of like mainstream adoption and like the mass public, a smaller time podcast like this, like that's like what, 5 years away? I mean.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is I'm going to take video from all my guests, yourself included, and just like start making composites. And I don't even have to have you on the podcast anymore. I'm just going to like have an algorithm.
Be so crazy. We could do it in the metaverse, just a live podcast on the metaverse and just like holograms of us. And
that's the plan. Yeah. That's the plan. I brought up the Rams earlier, paying, P's fake Super Bowl bet on the Rams, but you obviously watched the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're still within a week. We could talk about that.
I think so.
Yeah. Did you have any like strong feelings about the game, or we can just go straight to commercials? I mean, that's where a lot of the meat is.
The game was fine. I don't know. It was kind of boring. It's like the Super Bowl. I don't know if it's more exciting when you're younger. Like it's still a fun game to watch, but it wasn't one. I don't know if it's just the cities, what it was, Cincinnati and Los Angeles. No offense, but just was like
yeah. It's kind of felt like the SoFi Stadium, LA with the Rams. It almost felt like too fake.
Yeah, agreed.
Like it was just like designed, this brand new SoFi Stadium and some fintech company, whatever. Did you watch it at home?
We actually went to a friend's house to watch that.
Okay.
So it was like the first time bringing the baby out for that long of a period, like 6 to 8 hours at somebody's house.
Yeah.
So that probably played a factor too. But
You
I
had
guess,
some environment then. It wasn't just like watching it in a bubble,
right,
so to speak.
Yeah, and it was fine. I don't know. I think I just enjoy more like having some stakes in it, like watching the home team be the Bears or whatever. Like, and then having two teams that you really don't care for, like you want to see a team win, but the game itself was just fine.
We used to be in love with the prop bets. The color of the Gatorade, the length of the Star Spangled Banner.
Yes.
Coin toss.
Will Tupac show up as a hologram?
Did you do any of that?
We did like a sheet of paper with it. And Tupac,
Nice.
the hologram one was really funny because I had seen that like quite a bit. Like, will Tupac show up at the halftime show?
They did play California, his song.
Yeah.
As the second song, which is pretty amazing. Talk about staying power. The dude's dead, and they got every other hip hop legend up there, and they're still playing the man's music.
Would you call 50 a hip hop legend?
Yeah, I would, because I think he was a big pioneer in like the gangster rap wave of the early 2000s. And even at the time, I think Get Rich or Die Trying set a record for the most albums sold.
Okay.
So anytime you, I think, establish a high watermark in sales, maybe you don't have 10 albums after that that do well, but you kind of create this wave that's so big, I think you just got to give...
Fair.
You got to give some credit.
Very fair. I didn't realize that. That was the one that kind of stood out to me.
He also, in a lot of ways, when you look at like Jay-Z's career trajectory, he did some amazing things because he had a huge stake in
Vitamin Water.
Yeah. So he kind of, I don't want to say he started the hip hop mogul thing, but he was very business minded.
Yeah.
And he even got into acting a little bit, and he
did.
I think did a lot to expand people's idea of what a hip hop artist was. You know, not just so much being skilled with his verbalized rhymes, but you know, he kind of expanded, I think, the conception, and of course, you know, starting gangster rap, or cementing it in the mainstream.
Yeah,
right?
that's very true.
Dude, we're still like riding that wave to some degree.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the currents have changed somewhat, but like,
I mean, In the Club is still a banger. Like, you hear it all the time. Great song.
it's a legendary song. You know, he's sober, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I like sipping Bacardi like at your birthday. He was sober, I believe, when he had all that stuff. So he was always like playing a certain part.
Yeah,
you know? He was
for sure.
Smart dude. But anyway, did you have a favorite commercial?
So I found the commercials to be pretty bland, actually.
They were very bland.
I just didn't get into them, so we watched them, but there was...
What do you make of that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's YouTube now, and it's just so easy to put short sketches together that you can just watch them on YouTube. Like SNL has their shorts now, and with YouTube, a lot of the ads are going out earlier and earlier.
Right.
It just really didn't do it. I don't know if it was trying to strike a more serious tone with it being the pandemic and everything else, but I don't know. It just felt like it was.
It seemed like they were just all being safe.
Yeah.
Like, because I was like assuming it's cancel culture.
Yeah.
Like they're all just terrified. And that's why there was a lot of nostalgia ads, right? Like, you love Dr. Evil, right? Like, you love, you know,
the
all
Sopranos.
You love AJ Meadow, you know.
The baby from Ally McBeal, right? The dancing
Did
baby.
they do that?
I think that was the lumberjack one.
Oh, that's E-Trade Baby.
E-Trade Baby, yes.
Yeah. No, but exactly. Exactly,
Yeah.
like, kind of just doing the old forms of success, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It was pretty disappointing, to be honest. There really wasn't any, I mean, besides the 12 electric car vehicles
dear Lord.
that we saw, it felt like it was just that and just some, pretty bland.
Yeah, we were texting about the electric car. I had pulled up that GM had sold 26 electric cars in Q4 2021.
Insane.
And they got 8 commercials, you know, not just GM, but during the Super Bowl. Like, this isn't even a thing yet. I mean, they're all just going for Tesla's market cap, right? Like,
1,000,000%.
They want the Musk price to earnings multiple, is what you got to call it.
Yeah. And that's where all the hype is. Electric cars. No one's like, no one cares about combustible, like, new cars. They do to an extent, but like, everyone's like, oh, did you see this car is electric now? Like the RAV4 Prime, you know, things like that. You're like, oh, wow.
We were talking, because I know me and you are actually both looking for cars.
Yes, we are.
Sort of. Yeah, do you want to lead the convo on that? I mean,
sure. No,
what you're looking for? Because it kind of changed your mind a little, right?
The commercials 100% worked on me, because when I saw them, I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe like the market is truly moving that way towards electric cars. I really was skeptical. I thought it'd be like maybe 10 years out. But like, let me check out. I'm looking for like a RAV4, like a crossover SUV, and looked at the hybrid, good ratings. Like everyone loves it. 40 miles in the city.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, maybe this does make sense. And it does align with our values with having a baby and being like, all right, what environment is she going to inherit? And then when she's like 16 or 21, is she going to say like, why were you guys driving combustible, gas combustible
You're
engines?
getting ahead of that one,
like,
huh? You're really trying to get ahead of that fight?
Could be like, why were you doing this? You know, like, why are you using disposable diapers? So we're like, it aligns with our values. The hybrid does seem to make a lot of sense. And so those commercials kind of like, there was always a seed in my mind. My wife had planted it a while ago that she always wanted a hybrid, but seeing that, like, wait a second, then just getting saturated more and more with hybrid and electric vehicles. This actually makes sense.
I was trying to point out that it was ridiculous because there are so few electric cars on the road.
100%.
I mean, we brought up the Soprano style electric Chevy Silverado commercial. And, you know, you look at the types of consumers that would have a Silverado, there's not charging stations near them.
No.
So it's kind of like funny. That's why I was mentioning, like, it seemed like it was just a lot of signaling.
100%.
Because from a practical perspective, you know, they're shooting this Sopranos spoof commercial on the New Jersey Turnpike with a rural pickup truck. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and it's just kind of like, it's just a little confused.
100%. Also, when you think electric vehicles, you think Tony Soprano would be in an electric vehicle. Like, that's the part.
It would be good for drive-bys, though, and like sneaking up on people, nice and quiet.
That's true.
Would
That's
be good
true.
for that.
Tony doesn't
But it
seem
would
like
not
that kind
be
of
his
guy.
thing.
Yeah.
No.
So it's just funny that they're using that to be like, buy an electric vehicle. Like, can you imagine Tony sitting at a charging station? Like,
No.
Yeah.
No.
Right?
And plus, like, you know, he was using like payphones at like a gas station or along a turnpike or whatever. So it
Yeah.
would screw up his whole workflow. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, or just being a sitting duck, you know, just hanging out waiting 4 hours at a Target parking lot to get his car charged halfway through, you know, like it doesn't make any sense. I was just so like, is that where it's going? Are like quote unquote gangsters driving electric vehicles? Like
insanity.
did not understand that.
I heard some people making the argument that I think there were 9 companies around the 2000 market crash, the .com crash, of companies that soon went out of business after having Super Bowl ads. Not to say like Ford and GM are going to go out of business, but it can almost be used sometimes as an indicator as to like where maybe corporate America is trying to go, or just maybe where they're not able to go. Maybe some of like the desperate nature in some of the advertisement, because like they don't have a fresh idea, so they're just like pushing the concept of an electric car, which isn't necessarily new.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Or they see Tesla and they're like, there's so much market share you brought up. Like, let's try to get a piece. It's still so early in the electric car game. Like, let's do what we can to get people to buy our car, like to be the next Tesla and try to take their market share.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's all like a lot of people talking about inflation right now, and that has to do with gasoline prices. But I've even heard that with the car inflation, which has been like one of the biggest elements of inflation, they're going to try not to scale back some of the price increases they made as a way to subsidize the development of their future electric cars.
Oh, okay.
I've heard that, you know.
I've heard that. I've heard they don't want to scale back because they're making more money. But then I've heard it's the second one car company decides not to do it and like lower their prices based on inventory, every car company is going to start following suit because the cars are a commodity. Like you can pick. You have so much selection that it's just going to hopefully go back down.
Yeah, there's a lot of game theory there, so it's hard to project exactly.
100%. It's wild.
I've suffered mightily from trying to project as to what the car industry is going to do, because I mean, I've been looking for a car for 2 years, basically, maybe longer, depending on how you look at it. And I'm like, okay, you know, pandemic starting. I mean, let me wait a little, because there's no way prices are going to go up, right? People are going to not have as much money, whatever. I mean, look what happened there.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm going to tie this one back to fatherhood too. I'm just going to keep going back. Like,
please do.
We were talking about it on the ride here, because right now we drive a Toyota Corolla, and someone has to sit in the back seat with the baby because the Corolla is too small to have a car seat and the front seat, like have someone in that front seat. The car seat takes up so much space. You'd have to be 4 feet tall to fit in the front seat. So now it's like you're an Uber driver driving someone in the back seat. And we were just talking about cars and just getting it. You know, just if you have things you want to do, buying a car, like sometimes it's just worth pulling the trigger. You know, we were talking about before our baby, like, would we have done anything different? Like, would we have taken more trips? And I think the answer would have been, yeah, we would have done much more now. Like, you need that perspective sometimes, like when something major happens, like, oh, we can't just pack up and go somewhere now and take a trip. So like, we have no regrets, but like, if I could go back, I would tell my younger self, like, just pull the trigger. It's okay. Like, you'll figure it out later on, but you could just gotta gotta pull the trigger. Same with cars, like just timing that out. We're kind of at the point now where we're like, we just need to buy it.
So for all of you listening, if you have yet to have a child, make sure to pick up a Lambo and go to, I don't know, Greece or...
Greece would be good. The Maldives, I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are those like hip
Fiji?
islands? People, yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's
Ibiza.
better. You know, you brought up owning a practical Toyota, which is a goal of mine. I would love to be like a rational Toyota driver. But actually, the founder of the company that made my favorite Super Bowl ad drives a very practical, somewhat old Toyota.
Yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Warren Buffett?
Sam Bankman-Fried.
No, I don't know who that is.
FTX founder. He had that Larry David ad.
Oh,
it's a
yes.
crypto exchange.
Yes.
You know, this is maybe shocking to hear me pushing or promoting crypto in any way, shape, or form, even their marketing departments. But I love the Larry David ad. Do you see the whole thing?
Yes. Yeah.
It's great, especially because the whole ad is
Him being negative, right?
him being negative.
Yeah.
It's just like watching a micro curb episode, which,
Yes.
you know, you mentioned the game wasn't that perfect, entertaining. So it's nice to get Larry in there. But at the end of the ad, too, he probably got a huge payday from this, like, you know, who knows, $15-20 million.
Yeah.
And he's worth $500 million. So it had to have been a
Is he
lot
really
of money.
worth $500 million?
Oh, the syndication of Seinfeld is unbelievable.
Yeah. Actually, that makes sense.
Yeah, crazy amount of money.
Yeah.
And Curb Your Enthusiasm, all the
Yeah.
other things he's had a hand in. But, you know, they must have paid him decently for this. But at the end of the ad, he still says, like, no, I don't want to be invested in crypto. Like he kind of like shits on crypto.
Yeah, 100%.
You know? And
Yeah.
it works in context of the ad because it's him shitting on like the wheel when it was invented.
Right.
It's him shitting on democracy when it was invented. But so it ends up like promoting crypto and also showing him just saying like, no, I don't want any part of this, while simultaneously, of course, getting paid. So
Oh, no, it's hilarious.
it's great to see.
I love that commercial, and I think it's similar, the Coinbase one where it was the QR code.
I had to ask you about that next.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on that?
So I was watching it, and I was like, should I get my phone out and scan this? I was like, I'll just wait it out and see what happens. And then when they showed it at the bottom, I was like, oh, got another crypto commercial. But I just wonder how many people whipped out their phone to be like, what is this? Like, what am I looking at? You know? I thought it was a pretty genius commercial.
It did cause like, I watched it with my family, like nuclear family, and there was kind of like a disagreement as to like whether people would get it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, they want you to get your phone out. I got my phone. I'm like, it's Coinbase, you know,
Yeah.
waved my hand like cynically, whatever. But then like of course it had some staying power. We talked about it.
100%.
We're like, people aren't going to get that. Yeah, people would get it, whatever. Like,
I think it plays a little bit too. Like, it reminded me of the Office episode when they're watching the DVD bounce between the TV.
They were going
like,
for that.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
nailed it.
They
They
were going for
absolutely
that.
nailed it. Like when it hits the corner and stuff too. It caught my attention. Like a lot of commercials are just like, oh, another car commercial or whatever. And then this one was like, wait, what is going on? Like it was so different and so simple. Like
it was good. At the time, I was like, God, we're living in the stupidest time.
Oh, 100%,
like,
yeah.
Good Lord, we need to crack a book in this country. I mean, come on. Like this.
Yeah.
It's really, because it's hinged upon a two-screen culture where you have the phone out and you got the TV, so you kind of need one to work with the other, because that couldn't be like an online ad, right?
No, 100%.
But
a little genius in my mind too, because the QR code, while popular, blew up during COVID. Like,
yeah.
Anywhere you went to a restaurant, QR code. Like if you did go out to eat or like whatever, it was QR code this, QR code that. Like scan our QR code, and now this commercial plays on that a little bit. Like everyone knows what a QR code is for the most part, and you want like, and it plays on the curiosity. Like there's no celebrities, nothing.
They picked good timing.
Yeah,
I heard some stats on it that it cost about $14 million, and then based on the signups they had, it ended up probably bringing around 20. So
oh wow,
I think they did have a strong return on.
I mean,
ad.
genius.
Yeah. It crashed the site. Everyone talked about that too, because it created more news.
Yeah.
Site crashed. Then like the next day, like Coinbase's ad caused the site to crash, which is like free publicity.
Yeah.
You know, that's the Trump playbook, right? Really?
And it was so wildly different. They like zigged when everybody was, or they zagged when everybody was zigging, kind of like with their commercials. It's like they're not gonna have Larry David or Rashida Jones or anybody else on their ads. Like here's just a QR code, and then they played on people's curiosity. Like I did like that commercial more. The more I'm talking about it out loud now, I'm like, that was actually pretty brilliant. Like
it's one of those things. The more you talk about it, like wait, it unlocks the genius.
Yeah.
I did in a jam journal. In jam journals, like the jam videos I've been posting along with these podcast episodes, I was always like for a while trying to find like new ways to show like video, like because you can only do so many different camera angles,
Yeah.
right? And I did the thing from The Office where I had the video bouncing
Yep.
around the screen and like finally hitting the corner. And so I love to see that that's still like reverberating out in society.
Yeah,
you
it's
know, like
brilliant.
the whole-
Plays on our like generation too that loves The Office.
Yeah.
And like everyone knew that, like whoever's listening to this probably knows what that scene is.
loves The Office or even knows what a DVD menu looks like, right? Or like
Yes.
it's familiar with that sort of user interface.
Oh, 100%.
Now anything like that's like filled with 12 hyperlinks and 3 suggested videos and 5 other things.
Just brilliant. Brilliant ad.
Yeah, it was good.
I like that one a lot.
It was good.
Do you have any favorite ads? I know we
it
talked
was
about
the,
those
It was
two.
the Larry David. I mean, I was annoyed by the electric car
Yeah.
ads. I miss some of the old, like seemingly more edgy Snickers and Doritos ads. Like,
Budweiser ones too.
yeah. I miss some of that stuff. Like, not that I'm just like in love with cheap humor or whatever,
Sure.
but like, I remember a Snickers one from a few years ago where like a mechanic rips his chest hair out, and it's like, oh god, but it kind of sticks with you.
Yeah.
A Doritos one.
The 3D Matthew McConaughey one comes to mind for like the
Yeah.
Doritos one.
Absolutely. Another one with a wizard, the crystal ball. He's like, are you going to be hungry or something? He like shakes it, looks at it, and then throws the crystal ball through the Doritos machine or whatever.
Yeah. No, it is.
So I miss some of that edge. You know, I don't want to see just like the old characters. I mentioned Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
Dr. Evil's a friend of the pod. I usually have a coffee cup
Yes.
out here with Dr. Evil on
Yeah.
it. And I think, Mike Myers can do no wrong in my book, whatever, but he did a funny job of like kind of condensing some of the old best jokes
100%.
into
Yeah.
a quick little ad.
Yeah. Some nostalgia plays.
But it hurts me to see even beloved characters like selling out to some degree. Like I mentioned, I love the Larry David ad, but part of me does not want to see Larry David
Pushing crypto.
pushing anything. Pushing anything. It's like, how much money do you need? And can't
Yeah.
there be sanctity in anything?
100%.
Right, like-
I am fairly sure he doesn't know what cryptocurrency is either.
I think he knows, but I also think he probably doesn't invest in it, right? Like,
100%. So wild.
Actually, tangentially,
Sure.
you recently started watching Seinfeld.
Yes. I love it.
You didn't watch it growing up.
No.
Started very recently
Yes.
as an adult. Let me hear
So-
your perspective on that.
Yeah, so I'll give a little background. So I was like probably most typical children. I'd watch The Simpsons at 5. Whatever was at 5:30. That 70s show, Malcolm in the Middle. Simpsons at 6. 6:30 was Seinfeld. I'd turn the TV off. Didn't get it. Didn't find it funny. Just wasn't my brand of humor. I just don't think I understood it as well as I probably should have. And even watching the repeats of The Simpsons now, like, a lot of jokes went over my head, but it was still a cartoon and thought it was still funny. Seinfeld felt like more of an adult show. Didn't get into it. It's finally on Netflix. Started watching it. Skipped a couple of seasons. Got right into the mix. Brilliant show. It's just so funny and so relatable. The neuroticism of like George, like you can like totally understand. They're just like, it's just a funny show. Like the situations they get into are so wacky, but so relatable at the same time.
Okay, so did you know the Seinfeld standards, like double dipping the chip and whatnot?
No, I only knew
How much of that did you know even? Like how much cultural competency for it was there?
very little. No Soup for You. I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew the Festivus because I had heard about it, watched it. But outside of that, there really wasn't a lot of major things that I had known from that. So like seeing all the situations with George, I watched The Marine Biologist, which is like an all-time great. And it was just so funny, his monologue at the end, like just all the silly situations that they got into, just never knew about it. Even now, like I feel like it's talked about, but it's not talked about, like the situations that they got in. Like the double dip one was funny at the funeral, like never knew those, like never really had a lot of context. I knew like Kramer was crazy and
How much have you seen?
I just started season 7 today.
Okay.
So, and I kind of know how it ends. Like I heard about the finale, but yeah, genuinely did not appreciate how funny that show is and how ahead of its time too.
It is, yeah. I mean, really, it seems like a lot of the social commentary elements have carried forward to Curb Your
Yeah.
Enthusiasm and even like online culture.
100%.
Like it's very memeable in a way because
yeah.
it's a show about nothing, but then it picks apart everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, and just like like going off what you were saying, like the online dating and stuff too. Like just the way Jerry dates and nitpicks women, and there's always another woman and better. Like that's now people do that all the time. Like eats. I just saw the episode where she eats one pea at a time, and he's like, I can't be with her. She eats one pea at a time. Like those micro things that like will drive someone crazy. That it existed in the 90s. Like it existed with people then. Like it's not just a now thing where like there's a better option or someone that's like fit. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any favorite episodes?
I mean, the shrinkage episode is great. The marine biologist. Yeah. I was just in the pool. Marine biologist.
Yeah.
I like the Chinese restaurant one. That one felt very relatable.
Is there any that like you felt, I don't know, you didn't age well, that you can't believe was on TV, all that?
There was a few that were probably didn't age well, probably sexist in some ways, in a lot of ways towards women. And the show does have tendencies like that. But really like, you kind of like have to work through those. Like, okay, like it was made in the 90s. Like this stuff was probably not okay then, but it was more like accepted, and it's not like we've grown as a culture and a society to not think those things anymore. Yeah. But generally speaking, I mean, the first 2 seasons were like slow, so I skipped those, and I watched most of season 1. But no, overall, it's like The Office. It's like a situation happens in 20 minutes, wraps up nicely, you move on to the next episode.
Nice packaging for sure.
Yeah.
It's so rare you get someone's take who's never seen it.
It's wild.
Been somewhat brainwashed by it.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to even separate your own humanity from the judgment of the show. Not that it needs it. Obviously, plenty of people have seen it, will continue to see it. Doesn't need us espousing its
one thing I noticed
to others.
And I don't know if this is a Netflix. We're talking about syndication. I don't know if this is a Netflix thing. When you finish an episode, you know, normally Netflix will go to the next episode. You actually have to physically hit next episode for Seinfeld. And I don't know if their deal is based on like how many plays they get or what. But really? I found that super interesting. Yeah, anytime you finish an episode, it'll play through, right? It'll go all the way to the credits because like there's always that ending scene. And then it says next episode. So I always found that interesting. Like what's going on there? Yeah, next time anyone watches Seinfeld, check that out.
Maybe they're getting super into the data science element and they find that Seinfeld viewers desire agency in their lives. Like they want to have control. They're neurotic.
They're the Georges of the world.
And so they're like, no, I want to pick that episode, even though they're going to binge it. They want to click the button, you know?
Yeah.
It has something to do with that. No, that's weird though. I did hear they had like the crop and like had like a certain crop aspect ratio because back then TV was 4:3 aspect ratio. Now
quality
it's 16:9.
Terrible, especially in the earlier seasons. It gets better.
It's got a grainy look to it, right?
Yes, 100%.
I don't know what the hell's up with that. It just goes to show there's so many things that can go wrong when making visual content.
Oh my God.
Or just, I guess, so many ways to change things.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? Yeah. I want to ask you about your company, Radio Flyer.
Sure.
Yeah. Siobhan was just talking about how it's like one of the best places to work.
Yeah.
What do you like about working there? I guess this could be job specific, like what you like about you're an accountant.
Sure.
About the type of work that you do, but also just about what makes a good company. What makes a company successful and like a good company to work at that you appreciate.
Absolutely. So I'll answer it in kind of a broad stroke. I think the biggest thing for me, I love being part of a company that makes something, which sounds crazy. I worked in places where we would do reports or software, and it just really wasn't, I never got to see the end product. And for me and probably a lot of people, like I want to feel like I'm adding some value. But when you issue a report that is really like, especially as an auditor, like is just one of those check the boxes for whoever you're doing, like you're not adding value. They're just like, oh, we have to do this. So it's more compliance based.
I have core memories of dragging my sister and other people in a Radio Flyer wagon.
Yeah.
I mean, serious foundational stuff in my brain.
When I told my parents I was interviewing there, even they had a memory of the red wagon. Like we owned one. And so like being part of that, like being part of something that's being made that like is a toy, which kind of fits in like with like bringing happiness and joy, and didn't feel that with my past couple of jobs where it was more like a report or like software for insurance companies. Like I don't know, I just didn't care for it. So just seeing that, and then being able to like, if you walk around the neighborhood, just seeing those products and feeling like, hey, I've played a part in this kid having a good time. Like I don't know, it's just that feeling is just, it's really cool. Like you're like proud to say you work there. Or like when I worked at my other companies, and I won't name them, but you can easily find that on like LinkedIn or
Halliburton, Bank Capital, just kidding.
McKinsey, Aramco. So that one might go over people's heads, but
as you know,
Saudi
Probably
oil.
have a sweet, I was gonna say sweet pension plan.
Yeah.
Like the most rich company in the world. Country and company.
Yeah, you just
And family.
You just
Continue.
like I was just like, okay, yeah, I worked as an auditor. Okay, yeah, I worked for a tech company. Like, but it wasn't like cool and sexy or like it just was like, oh, okay, like whatever, go home. But now it's like I have their products. Like we use them. Our peers are having children and stuff. So it's just so cool to like be part of it. So, and obviously the people and like the work itself is really interesting, but the product itself is just
Educate
cool.
some of the aging millennials that may be watching this show what Radio Flyer has besides the wagon now.
Yeah, so we got the wagons, we got tricycles, we got balance bikes, e-bikes, e-scooters. Like we're hitting the electric market. We didn't have an electric commercial at the Super Bowl. We have all of those different products. Like if you just go on the website, we partnered with Tesla. We got a mini Tesla car. We use lithium-ion batteries. Like really evolving. So it's not just the red wagon. We do have that, but there's just a ton of different products and very cool to check out. I didn't realize how much we sold until I went on the website. You know, someone told me to go check it out. Like, oh, actually, like there is a lot. So
yeah, I mean, you have like a newborn too, so you're still a year or two before the Radio Flyer years come in.
Yes, absolutely.
Something that's so special about like working with children or making an impact on a child's life is it stays with them forever.
Yeah.
You know, anything that happens to you, it's like a part of your fabric.
Absolutely.
And in a culture where like everyone's watching different TV now, everyone has different religious affiliations, it's so hard to find things that someone will even be a part of, let alone something that is a part of them their whole life.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and even now with the baby, starting to think like, what are the things that she is just truly going to love and be part of her forever? You know, I can name some toys I had as a kid, like a little red car that I would run around with, or like lived across the street from a park. So I have all these fond memories of these things. So what it's hers going to be? And it's like we have no idea. We have a whole basket of toys, but she has a couple she really likes, and we have no clue why, or so it'll just be super fascinating to see like as that evolves, like what are the things we keep because she loved it, and then if she ever has children, like how will it keep evolving, and even how the toys have changed. Like she got a Play cell phone, which was just blew my mind.
Really?
It's like looks like an iPhone, but it has buttons, and the buttons like you click on it, and it's like this is the number 1 or 3 is let's count to 3. 1, 2, 3. But it like rings, makes the dial sound and stuff too. Just wild.
You get a late night email from your boss telling you to submit something.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry to bug you at home, but
Every 45-minute scam likely comes up on the screen too, so that like it's realistic and like just. Getting calls about like AT&T DirecTV is 50% off, like these random voicemails that make no sense at all.
Another fatherhood question.
Yeah.
Do you have a cell phone or a tablet or screen policy, or do you have like aspirations for one?
Yeah, so we're trying to follow what the American Association of Pediatrics say, 2 years of no screen time.
Right.
But it's hard. We're on the couch with her. She'll straight up look at the TV now. So she'll just watch whatever we're watching. So we're trying to like limit it, but trying to be realistic about it too.
You should get one of those privacy screens over your TV they have at doctor's offices. So if you look at like a 30-degree angle, you're just like blind to it.
We don't know what she's seeing and how she's processing it, but then you start thinking like, okay, she's going to go 2 years without seeing a screen in theory, but then like we live in an age of technology and she'll pick it up quickly, but like, is she behind? Like she goes to school, all the kids are playing with iPads and they know what to do. And she's like, I've never seen one of these before. Like, how do I work it? Like,
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing to think about.
Yeah, I mean, how long does it really take to master that stuff? Especially, I would say, as it becomes more and more intuitive.
Oh, yeah.
Like, in theory, it should become easier and easier to use these devices. Probably more voice commands is going to be a big thing, audio.
I have actually found with my own parents, they use an iPad, they use an iPhone. They're pretty skilled with that, but then like using an actual PC to copy and paste stuff, they constantly need refreshers, like just the basic stuff. Cause my dad's like, I don't copy and paste very often. I have it's in my iTunes. I just click on iTunes and I hit play, like, or I email it to myself. Like, it's like, oh yeah, that is pretty wild. If you're not on a computer and you're just using iPhones and iPads, like using a PC where it probably feels ancient now, where you gotta like drag something and copy versus like the Apple interface it's wild.
I find myself doing some funny things. I have a lot of Apple products, so I'll like, throw something in, like a link or something in the Notes app and then open it on another device.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm trying to do something specific that only one device could do, or
Right.
maybe it's like text-based or whatever. Yeah, but no, I think you're making the right decision. Obviously, at least 2 years. I mean, like, you probably go
We'll see how it goes.
5-10 years without looking at screens and be okay, you know. But
It's funny, as an adult now, I'm trying to cut my screen time down.
right,
So it's funny, like, we're trying to limit hers, but as an adult, like, I'm on my phone all the time. Like, when I get those screen reports on Sunday, it's shocking to me, which,
you gotta sit down.
yeah, like, oh my God, like, what is going on? So trying to,
Mine's been bad.
Yeah.
Mine's been bigger than ever, no doubt.
Yeah,
Longer
it's
than ever.
crazy. I don't know
I
if it's
saw-
winter or what, but yeah.
I mean, we're still kind of not seeing each other as often because of COVID, whatnot. I saw just like the general numbers on it. The last 6 years, it's gone up every single year, screen time.
Yeah, I believe it.
And I don't know how they measure it exactly, but I mentioned like double screening and the fact that you could be like looking down at one screen, consuming on another screen. Like, how do you even quantify that? You can't
Yeah.
count it as 2x because you can't really focus on two different things, but like,
Really, your screen time should only be like however long this podcast is, like hour and a half a week, you know,
Exactly.
maybe 3 hours, a couple episodes come out.
it was so hard for me not to make that joke that your baby is like, well, she'll catch up on the Neverending Becoming,
Yeah.
you know, whenever she jumps
Oh,
on
she'll
it.
binge through that. Yeah, very bingeable.
So at least the Arpit series, you know. Man, we've been holding up pretty well. It's down to 48 degrees again in here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
classic Chicago
It was
winter.
50 when we started. We are in a cold environment. It's not bad for talking,
No.
though. It keeps you awake.
No, I love it. And actually, I think the Memorial Day one or the one before that, it was legitimately 100 degrees. Like, I was sweating so hot when we did it outside. So, like, it's a podcast of extremes.
Yeah,
Which is
exactly.
not, I'm totally fine with that, you know?
Hopefully we have sections one day. It's the Icebox podcast. It's the Heat Session podcast. I mean, actually, I bought these fancy cameras in part because of that Memorial Day episode where
Yeah.
the iPhones couldn't handle the heat and turned off on us because they were like directly in the sun. I
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
using umbrellas or anything sophisticated at that point.
So, hey, a little cold, totally fine. Plus, we're Chicagoans, right? So we have to be comfortable with cold. Although the older I get, like, I don't love it.
Yeah, no, me neither. Yeah, me neither.
But in college, it was like you could wear shorts out. I remember shoveling shirtless as a joke, of course, but like, you remember, like,
I have video of it.
yeah. So
We'll talk after the pod if you want me to use it.
Yeah,
But
it'll be,
no, it's your body changes for sure. So
Yeah.
again, if you're young, if you're childless,
live it up.
take your shirt off, get out there, go to the Arctic. You know?
Yeah, do what you gotta do. Yeah, book that cruise. Go to Argentina and get down to the Arctic for a little while and come right back.
We were talking about how the screen time can affect us, right? Like
Yeah.
more time scrolling. It's very comforting to scroll. I want to
yeah.
get your take on something. I got some material here that I've been talking about. I've been using index cards more. It's kind
Yeah?
of funny to like come up with topics, put it on an index card, but just like in my day-to-day life, I was thinking about how, you know, we end up scrolling, right? And
Yeah.
we're influenced by people we choose generally to follow, but there's still a lot of sponsored content and maybe content your friends look at that now gets recommended for you through Instagram or TikTok or Facebook. In a lot of ways, you're like training yourself
Yeah.
by like looking scroll influencer, right? Like
Yeah.
you're getting these different things. I've been trying to think about sort of like a low-tech way to do that. So I've been trying to like train myself with index cards.
Okay. All right.
Basically, I want everyone to know that I'm trying to change my personality by using a deck of index cards. And I'm like brainwashing myself, basically.
So what do the index cards do?
They're basically positive affirmations.
Okay.
I am this.
Oh,
I
cool.
want this.
Yeah.
Whatever. Because in a lot of ways, you're getting Chevrolet saying like, you want this. You want a truck, a Ford truck. You want a
Nothing
whatever
but
truck.
that. Yeah.
So I figure if there are going to be all these people and even larger institutions and people with huge budgets, they're going to send you these messages. I want to at least counteract those effects, if not, of course, totally craft my own narrative.
100%. Yeah. I think that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, and you know, I guess really it's no different than like a magazine. You're flipping pages, you know, you're getting
Yeah.
like, oh, this is fashion now. This is a funny joke now. You know, there's all that. And I like the idea specifically with index cards because you can like come up with like 20 or 30 things that you aspire toward, even something that you currently are that you want to keep. You
Yeah.
know, like say you are positive or whatever type person, you can put that and then just make sure you don't lose that.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Or if you feel love in your heart, what have you, all sorts of things. But I specifically have been doing it because I've had a lot of like scarce thoughts in my mind around money.
Okay.
And one of
let's
them,
do it.
you'd like this as an accountant, is
Yeah.
the only person you want to impress at the end of the day is your accountant.
I love that.
Not that everything's about the bank balance.
Yeah, of course.
But it's one of the ones I have to just put in very
Of course.
straightforward terms.
Yeah.
Like
It's a reminder.
you need to build a war chest. You know,
Yeah.
we're getting older. We're in our 30s now.
Yeah.
You could have one just that says like Roth IRA and write like VOO and like green letters all over it. And it's like, pseudo artistic, a little bit straightforward,
Yeah.
like don't forget about your Roth contributions,
Yeah.
what have you.
In some ways, you're taking control of what you're getting spammed with. Like you're seeing these ads, which are now essentially index cards, versus scrolling through and seeing like Vanguard try to advertise to you. Like you're taking that control back instead of like being fed it through the like Instagram, even things like YouTube TV. Like we have YouTube TV and now we watch commercials. Like we're talking about commercials. There was a stretch for a couple of years we didn't have cable television. So
Yeah,
like
that's right.
we didn't have to watch ads and didn't have like, like it was nice. It was like a little bit of a break on TV, but now it's like TV, your phone. My TV has ads on it. When you turn the TV on, there's a little bar. It's a Samsung TV. It has advertisements on it.
Does it really?
Yeah. It's so insane to me.
What kind of ads?
It'll have commercials, like a little box. It comes up when you turn the
Right.
TV on, and it'll have like an actual little commercial for something, and it'll say, "Oh, rent this movie for free. Do this," or like
Okay, for visual content.
mostly visual. Yeah.
Is it
all
like buy a Keurig? Is it like that too? Or?
Not necessarily. No, it is. Now that I think of it, it's visual, but it's like go to this, buy this, and it's like it doesn't stop. And any free service has ads, and then you have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Like you're just inundated with these. So like I think the index card is cool because A, you're writing it down so it's in your brain already, and then B, you get to pick what you want to be spammed with, what ads there, like, and then so you see it, and then you're like, oh, okay, like let me invest in VOO or do a Roth IRA. Like I think that's pretty good. That's a good idea.
And then I specifically pick index card too because you can just drop them like
Oh yeah,
you can like a sack of potatoes. If either you don't need the reminder anymore or
Yeah.
you've changed your mind about something, you can just pull it out and put a new one in there. And even I think it's more representative of how the brain works because you can switch the order around.
Of course.
Like, as opposed to even
keeping it fresh.
a classical journal where it's like always in the same sequence. You can mix it up. And even recently I realized, I should use different colors for the index cards.
Sure.
And try that out because I remember like in my psychology classes hearing that, everything's so visually based and you can cement things much better in your memory by using strong visual cues.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. I mean, we had, the ability to see and perceive visuals a lot longer than we have been vocalizing. So,
absolutely.
let alone writing. I mean,
Yeah. And when you write it down, you're putting it, you're creating a record for it. Just saying it out loud doesn't do anything, right? So
Yeah.
by writing it down, you're like, okay, I have to do this. Like I wrote it down. Or it makes it more like, if you don't do it, then you got to do the physical act of cutting the index card. Like if you just say it out loud, you don't have to do anything and then just move
Right.
on.
I know a big thing to actually make it stick is to emotionalize the content.
Okay.
So let's say like you can't just write like, I will exercise my body today. It'd be better to put a picture of The Rock
Oh, I like that.
maybe, and not in just that. Don't even write the word exercise, but just to look at The Rock's bicep.
Yeah.
And that makes you feel something,
Yeah.
but it's also the reminder to work out.
That's cool. I
Yeah.
like that.
So I've also been trying to figure out different like cues. Like I started very obvious, like you are this, I am this, rather.
Of course.
I am this. But then I realized, no, it's not so simple. Like I don't get the same emotional charge about the retirement contributions as I do maybe just a stack of money, like a photo of a stack of money.
Yeah.
Or maybe more specifically what the money can buy you.
Right. 100%.
Lately I've been like looking into cinema cameras. Sony and like
Cool.
Red, they have these cameras that, are at least like $6,000 each. Some of them are $30,000, $50,000. Obviously there's like no end to how expensive
Yeah.
this stuff can get. But I can write all day on an index card like, I will have money. I will accept money into my life. I will accept money, abundance, whatever.
Yeah.
But if I actually had a photo of a
what you want.
BA awesome
Yeah.
new cinema camera that I would love to use in service of conveying ideas hit much harder.
I feel like it takes the abstract and puts something to it. You know, like you want a bicep as big as The Rock, or you want that camera, and now you have something to work towards. I found that in my own life too, with even things like running. I need a race. I need a 5K or something. If it's left to my own devices, like I won't run. I'm just like, oh, it's fine. Like I don't have something where like I got it. Like I signed up for this. I got to get it done. Or like I really want this. So I'm going to do what it takes to get it. Like I find the abstract sometimes is hard because you don't really have a goal.
Right. Running, I've heard, some people will put their running shoes in a really obvious place. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a similar thing, using like visuals.
I've heard that about flossing and putting that floss next to your couch. Like, don't put it in your bathroom. Put it next to your sofa.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
I'm super into that. Getting the Costco glide pack of floss and putting them everywhere. You get some looks from strangers and people when they come in, they think you're flossing at the coffee table, but at least they know you care for yourself.
Yeah, hey, got good teeth though,
You have your medals up, your running medals.
Yes.
Right? Do you think you get a charge from that? You must on some level, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Better than hiding them in the sock drawer.
No, 100%. No, it makes me feel proud of my accomplishment too. And then it does make me want to run more. Like makes me want to go get that like medal. You and I ran a half marathon, and my wife and I were just doing something. We're putting a bucket list. My bucket list is run another one and try to run it a little less with less pain than last time. By the end, it was a little bit rough to get through that half marathon, but like just seeing that medal is like, oh yeah, I want to do this. But if it was in a sock drawer or tucked under the bed, I don't know if I would still probably feel it, but it wouldn't be in front of mind,
We need it. I want to think of, I'm creating digital videos, so I think there's a huge opportunity to come up with ways I can do this digitally and at scale, not just like index cards that are hard to replicate. But there are just so many ways to get broken down by a company that's trying to build you back up by selling you a product.
Of course, 100%.
So it's good to combat it a little bit. Just let's end on a fatherhood element with this positive affirmation thing.
Let's hear it.
Do you have any like father role models or like let's just try to think of one, I guess. Let's try to think of like what would be like if I was a new father and was doing this index card thing.
Yeah.
Maybe like what is it? That Mr. Mom movie with
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, like I guess you could take like the visual of that, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I have. Oh, so my dad, obviously. So my dad, when he had me and my sister, he took care of us through the night. My mom will give him like unbelievable amounts of credit, and he deserves every bit. He's like a natural around the baby too. Like he knows how to hold her. He can kind of navigate it. Like I feel very comfortable with my dad. Although his go-to is always like she's hungry, even if like she ate. Like it's just I don't know if that's an Indian thing or whatever. Like let's just keep feeding this baby more and more. That one, and then I don't know. I'm trying to think through it. Like
you instantly I could take a photo of your father and Photoshop it in like a nighttime scene, and instantly it's just a reminder. Drawing the strength that your dad had the power to stay up at night, right?
It's almost like you could do the opposite, like get and Homer Simpson's a tough one because like he does care about his kids, like putting like a Homer and being like, I don't want to be like that, it's almost like taking it a positive. It kind of makes it a little bit negative, like I don't want to do that. I want to be more involved, or like a picture of a CEO or someone that like.
No, I think there's room there. Like one that came to my head actually was. Maybe taking a photo of the father who's like holding his kid's hand and then staring at the cell phone and then putting like the no smoking sign through it, right?
Like, no, 100%.
It's negative technically. It's like, but like a lot of life is about risk aversion.
Right.
You need to be realistic that you want to avoid certain pitfalls. That's
100%
a big way to be successful.
Yeah, just it's more like what are the dads you don't want to be? Like that's more like, okay, well like they neglected their children, so like or not neglected, they had other things going on, cell phones, work, whatever. Like finding that balance, I think, is like finding that dad is definitely where I'd want to be. So yeah, someone that's like involved. But it's hard. Dads don't get a lot of good, like they are now, but like before you'd have the Homer Simpsons of the world. Like.
Well, yeah, it's tough. We grew up in this era where we're almost counterculturing the old perfect fathers of the past.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dick Van Dyke or what the examples would be of like the spiffy, perfect 50s father. But after a while, that's kind of all you know. And then you're just thinking that fatherhood is Al Bundy or Homer Simpson. And you lose track that they were actually counteracting our idealized versions of the
Yeah.
past. So we do need to form new idols. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, even Mr. Mom is a good example. Mr. Mom is just dad. Like, it doesn't need to be
Right.
called Mr. Mom. Like, he's just a parent, right? Like, taking care of
Right.
his kid. And so then they're like, because my dad got called Mr. Mom. And then reflecting now, like, no, he was just being my dad. Like, yeah, he picked me up from kindergarten. Like, dad should do that. Like, it's not like, or, like, be more involved. But be called Mr. Mom is really funny. And now we're countering that, right? Like, it's not Mr. Mom. Like, yeah, and Don Draper is an interesting example too, because he is like that show about the 50s dad or 60s dad. Sorry, 60s dad that's like a deadbeat in so many ways, like getting drunk, banging his secretaries, like.
I remember hearing Matthew Weiner talk about a big turning point in the show was the episode where he goes out during his child's birthday party to pick something up, like to get the cake, and then he never comes home.
Yeah.
He actually doesn't come home. Like, he totally shocks you. You think he's going to be like the savior, that you'd always see. But
Yeah. No, it's so wild.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
This time goes by so fast.
Yeah, we got to do it again.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Bye, everyone. See you next time.